Hello, this is Salve Milano, starting off a YouTube channel here, and going to be covering all things Milan for right now. Reading player ratings, transfer news, formation discussion, how the game went, various things pretty much including Milan management, fees, and money spent during transfers, etc., etc. So, if you are a big Milan fan like myself, hopefully you will enjoy and eventually what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at all of Serie A, or at least some of the interesting teams in Serie A, some of the bigger happenings. But for now, we're going to stick it to my favorite team, AC Milan. So this episode is going to begin the first one here, and we're going to just do some simple player ratings with the most recent match that they've played, which was against Brescia today on January 24th, 2020. Okay, so just an introduction in general to player ratings for those who are not familiar with how either football or soccer, or however you say it, based on where you are from, how it's rated. So 6 is kind of like your general standard for some reason. 5 should kind of be the general standard, but 6 pretty much means that you had a pretty good game. Anything below that means that you played below what you probably should be. Somewhere in the 5 or 5.5 rating means you played okay. Anything below that is definitely not good. Anything above 6 is pretty dang good. So that's kind of the general scale here. Rarely do we give out 1s and 10s and stuff like that, but that's just a general soccer or football rating scale system, and so we're going to just keep to that. So first off, we're going to start today in the performance against Brescia with Gigi Donnarumma. So this is obviously the kind of talisman keeper that has been linked with several moves away to Milan in recent history, but he's always remained pretty loyal for the most part. And as far as his rating goes today, I thought he played fantastically. I would give him a 9 out of 10, and I would actually consider him man of the match today. I know a lot of people may say Rebic because he got the game-winning goal, but I would definitely say Gigi Donnarumma kept us in the game for long enough in order to get that goal. So I would say it was a near-perfect performance. He really did not put a foot wrong, and truthfully, I'm not sure why I'm not giving him a 10 tonight because he was absolutely fantastic, but I'll stick with man of the match, 9 out of 10 for Gigi Donnarumma. Next, we're going to move on to the right back position, which has been a bit of a problem for Milan throughout the season. They've alternated between Andrea Conti and Davide Calabria, but for right now, it seems that Conti is the preferred right back. Conti was kind of hit or miss today. I believe he deserves a very fair, honest 6 out of 10. I don't believe that he was great. I don't believe he was terrible. He did what was expected of him. He made some mistakes as always. He pushed forward decently, but he just seems to have never regained that confidence that he had when he was back at Atalanta before his injury, which took him out for quite a while. So it's very understandable that Conte is where he's at today, and I hope that he can build on some performances, because earlier, a few weeks back, he played against Juventus, and he played fantastically. And that really was his best performance. I thought he could build on that, and he hasn't really seemed to do that yet. But for today, 6 out of 10, very solid, stable performance from Conte. Could be better, for sure, but not bad. Now we'll move along to the other side of the field, the left back, who has been Theo Hernandez, the Frenchman who came over this season. Brilliant signing. As I was talking on my forums that I kind of communicate with, I thought that himself and Benacer would be our best signings as far as the summer transfer window, and I do believe that Theo Hernandez is really showing everything that he can be. So today, though, he didn't have really the best performance. He still showed at certain points that he can create out of nowhere. He hit the crossbar and almost put the game away and put it to bed early, which would have been fantastic. But he looked a little bit tired. He looked a little bit fatigued. He normally does not seem this way. He wasn't able to drive up and down the field as much. And even with that, he still created the best chance of the game earlier on, which is when he kind of crashed down the left side of the field, crossed to Ibrahimovic, and Ibrahimovic missed a sitter there. So even with him not playing so great, he still created. So just for his expectations, I'd probably give him a 5.5, but because he still was able to do enough, he's more teetering upon a 6 today as well. So he's kind of a tough one, but 5.5 or a 6, I think he's kind of level with Andrea Conti. Good, but not great today. Can definitely do more. Next, we move to the center back positions, which now we have Simon Kjaer and, of course, Alessio Romagnoli. So we'll start with Simon Kjaer, who I think was actually a very smart signing from Maldini and Boban. Believe that today he was still solid. He was not terrible. He was not great though. Probably another 6 along the back line. Maybe creeping into that 5.5 territory because he was a little bit sloppy with things, but his positioning is nice. He's definitely a nice change of pace between Simon Kjaer and between Matteo Musacchio, because Musacchio is more of an athletic center back, but he's not as smart. His positioning sense is not as good, whereas Kjaer is the exact opposite. He's still a decent athlete, but he's not very fast. But his positional sense and he knows how to help lead a line with Romagnoli, so it seemed just he is able to slot in immediately. So I do like his calmness and his presence there. Very smart player, but I would say 5.5 to a 6 again for him. Next, moving on to Alessio Romagnoli, the captain. I thought he played a fantastic game today. I would give Romagnoli a 7 today. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Not, star of the show, but he was definitely the stalwart today. And although Torregrossa, the Brescia striker, went on a tear for a little while today, Romagnoli was the only one who was standing in his way. Him and Donnarumma were really the only ones who were standing in his way between making this game, a loss for us, because Torregrossa was feeling it tonight. So Romagnoli was a big part of that. A very, very mature captain's performance, and I hope to see more like this for Romagnoli. Next, we'll move into midfield with Franck Kessié and Ismail Benacer. So Kessié, I actually thought played quite a good game today. He was very, very busy. He was very active. I would actually give him a 6.5. I thought he was pretty solid. I mean, he doesn't have the best ball control, and truthfully, something I'll get into in different podcasts, I believe that we should have rather kept Timoe Bakayoko rather than Kessié. I think he just fits the system a lot better. But I like now being in a 4-4-2 that Kessié is primarily a defensive player, breaking up plays, charging forward here and there. He's not that creative of a player. His ball control is not that great, so don't put him in a position he needs to do that. This is much better for him. I thought he's really been starting to play well these past few days as kind of the shepherd to Ismail Benacer's creativity and playmaking. So I would definitely give him about a 6.5 today. I thought he did quite well. Ismail Benacer, I'd rate the exact same, 6.5. He's been showing his composure on the ball excellently. I thought that, maybe even closer to a 7, but 6.5 today. He did lose some balls in the second half, and that could cost us a little bit, but truthfully, he was one of the only ones consistently driving forward, always runs. Anytime a guy's next to him, you never see him, which you'll see a lot in football, guy will steal the ball, he'll run by, and then the defender who lost the ball won't really care, or he can't catch him. Benacer always fights and tries his ass off every single time, so I really, really appreciate that from him. Plus, he's very stable, low center of gravity, very, very creative with the ball. He's not the best at, long balls yet and stuff like that, which is why something I'll get into in another podcast, another YouTube video, is I believe Tonali would be a great partner for him. But that being said, staying on Benacer, I think he did quite well, 6.5 today. Moving on to the wide sides, I'm going to go with Samu Castillejo. I thought he would put in a very strong shift today as well. I think that he was kind of bordering on a 6.5 to 7 as well, so I'm going to give him a 6.5. He's been showing that he's definitely an upgrade over Suso as far as this recent Milan goes. He fights for the shirt, which is something that Suso generally does not do. He fights from minute 0 to minute 90. He works well with his teammates. He always is a willing runner. He takes up open space. He even tracks back and helps defend, and he can create and score goals too. Samu Castillejo is now showing that he's not as weak as everybody once thought. He had the little nickname on some of the forums as being called a noodle because he's very thin and he would just fall over, but he's proving to be different. He seems to become more fired up and a lot better. So I would really give him a strong rating of a 6.5. I believe he was a little stronger in the past few games, but still a good performance today. On the left side, we have Hakan Çalhanoğlu, and Hakan, I'm not the biggest fan of him in general, but then again, I feel he's been played out of position almost his entire career at Milan. He's not a left mid. As much as people want to place him there, and Pioli put him there, Gianpaolo put him there, he's not a left mid. He doesn't have that one-on-one pace to burn his man and then cross down the sideline, cut in and shoot. He needs to be played more central, but for what he has, he played pretty strong, and that's kind of typical Hakan Çalhanoğlu performance. Pretty good, not too bad, not too great. He deserves about a 6 out of 10 today. sometimes maybe in a 5.5, but I'll give him the 6 because he made the really nice pass out to Zlatan Ibrahimovic that ended up causing the goal in the end. We then move to the strikers, which one will be Zlatan Ibrahimovic, which I believe this was his worst game in Milan colors so far. And truthfully, I would give him about a 5 or a 5.5. I just feel like he missed the sitter, which was kind of rating him around a 5. His movement was a little bit sluggish, but he actually picked it up in the second half. Still always good layouts, good passing and creativity, as you always see from him, and using his body well, but he just didn't seem to be in it as much as he was the past few games. That being said, he still was the catalyst, or one of the catalysts for the goal that was scored, so he has to at least get a 5.5 there, and he's really making his teammates work a lot harder than they were before he was there. So for that alone, I think 5.5, but he can definitely do better. Lastly, in the starting lineup, Rafael Leao, who I thought was actually one of the worst people on the pitch today. I would rate him a 5. I thought he was the least effective of most of the people, and once he was taken off, you saw a drastic difference. He can do better. He's got a ton of skill. He just needs some time, but today was not his day. 5 for Leao. Lastly, we move on to the subs, which would be Ante Rebic and Krunic. Krunic didn't have too much to play, but he came on to lock down the game and actually did quite well. Smart stuff from Pioli. Krunic has been playing pretty well, and he now is deserving of a spot, at least on the subs roster for Milan. Hard to rate him, but I would just give him 6 average. Lastly, Ante Rebic, who I think has just had a spark lit underneath him, as he's now finally getting some chances, which it took long enough. I mean, people criticize him and say that he wasn't doing enough, but let's be honest, he's had no real chances. He's barely played any games, and when he does, he gets a few minutes to make an impact. He finally got a half to make an impact. Last game he played great. This time 30 minutes. So with that being said, Rebic today deserves a 7.5. And he has come on twice now and secured the game for Milan when it didn't look so great, or at least looked like it may be veering towards a tie. So that alone deserves a 7.5. So now a recap of the player ratings. Man of the match, Gigi Donnarumma with a 9. Number 2 for the day, I thought would be Alessio Romagnoli with an 8. Number 3 would be Ante Rebic with a 7.5. And the rest of the team pretty comfortably slots at a 6. Conti with a 6. Theo Hernandez with a 6. Kjaer 5.5 to a 6 maybe. Kessie 6.5. Benacer 6.5. Hakan 6. Samu 6.5. Ibra 5.5. Leao 5. Krunic, hard to judge, maybe 6, who knows. So yeah, top 3, number 1, Donnarumma, number 2, Romagnoli, number 3, Rebic. So that's pretty much my review for the game and the player ratings for Brescia today. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and more to come over the next few days here and weeks. I'm going to try to be doing player ratings for most games that I'm able to catch, and then we'll go over some transfer news here and there and maybe some formation discussions. So if you like this, it's kind of just an upstart channel trying to maybe kind of make this more of a regular thing, so please subscribe, like the video, and help me out here. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next installment.